Today's mini lesson is about area of triangles. If you guys could follow along with me, this should be a breeze. Alright, hey, welcome, and here we go. First things first, we just need to cover a couple basics. One would be, what type of triangles are there? Now, for some, this may be a review. For others, this may be something new. So, we'll go over this, and remember, you can always rewind and watch the video again. We're going to go over types of triangles first. First, we have a right triangle. A right triangle is a triangle that has one right angle, and that's why it's referred to as a right triangle. An equilateral triangle, something you might see often, it's a triangle with all equal angles and all equal side lengths. And then finally you have a scalene triangle. This is a funky triangle. This is where nothing is the same. The sides are all different. The angles are all different. But here's your three basics, and I just wanted you guys to take a peek at this as we move forward. But there actually is more information that you need. First, we got to look at our formulas. Last week we spoke about area, and we were focusing on rectangles and squares. But when you look at the area of something, in our formula charts, we talk about base and we talk about height. These are very important things that you need to know. So, as we look at our right triangle, again, it's a right triangle because it has a right angle. This is what would be labeled as the base and the height. I know many of you are used to saying length times width. Well, the base and the height are the labels here. The height is straight up and down. The base is essentially the bottom one. Forget about this diagonal guy right here. You're not going to mess with that probably till next year. Okay? When we look at an equilateral triangle, this is like the basic triangle that you see ever since you were tiny. Well, the base is the same, the bottom piece. The height, though, is like a tent. It's straight up the middle. Okay? So usually the information you get when you get these problems, it will have the height measured. A lot of times you might see a dotted line, but this is the height we use. You are never going to use these little things as the height, because I want you to think about it. If you go to the doctor's office, you know, and they measure how high you are, you don't ever lean to the side to see how tall you are. No. You stand straight up and down against the wall, and they put that metal thing on top of your head. So remember, straight up and down. It's like a tent pole. And finally, if we look at the scalene triangle, here's a scalene triangle. Since it is different, and it kind of, the point comes out way out here, we measure the height by going straight down on this corner. Now, this is not part of the triangle. This is something that you will have to measure, or it's already measured for you. And that's why there's the dotted lines here, because those lines really don't exist. Those lines are just there to give you the height of the triangle. Okay? And then the base is actually measured. Pay attention. The base is measured from this point all the way to this point. Okay? Again, the base is from point to point. It does not include this. All right? All right. So we know our triangles. We know what the base and the height is of the triangles. So let's figure out how we find the area of the triangle. Now, a recap, remember the area of a triangle is how much space something takes up. So the area is how much space something takes up, like as in the floor. Okay? You move into an empty apartment, an empty house, you have a certain amount of space, which means you can put a certain amount of furniture there, which means you can have a certain amount of things in that area. So the formula for the area of a triangle is area equals 1/2 base height, which means 1/2 times base times the height. But I'm not really a fan of that formula. A handful of years ago, they used to have this formula on the chart, and it's the same thing. It's area equals base times height divided by 2. I really love this formula because this part right here is the exact same thing as a rectangle or a square. You just multiply the base and the height, and then when you're done multiplying it, you just divide it by 2. Okay? We're going to look at one example on the next screen, and that will be the conclusion of the video. But guys, if you have any questions, make sure you ask me. Make sure you depend on your friends to your left and right. Ask questions of them too. But basically, you're just going to multiply the base times the height of all these triangles, and then you're going to divide it by 2. Okay? So here is our example. I'm giving you a basic right triangle. Okay? You can read the things. Here's the height, straight up and down, 4 feet. Here's the base, 7 feet. Remember, the base is point to point. The height is point to point. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert our formula. Area equals base times height divided by 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to substitute. We're going to put the base where the B is. We're going to put the height where the H is. And now we're going to get this. Area equals 4 times 7 divided by 2. Okay? Finally, we're going to go ahead and work that out. 4 times 7 is 28. So now we're going to do 28 divided by 2. And what is 28 divided by 2? See if you can figure that out in your head real quick before I give it to you. 28 divided by 2 is 14. Now, since it's an area problem, 14 feet, we have to put our unit of measure, but then since it's area, we're going to put squared. Okay? And it's as easy as that. Base times height divided by 2. And yes, I just realized before you pointed out, the base is right here, the height's right here. I flip-flop these. I should have put the 7 here and the 4 here just to show you, but that's my fault. But as you can see, it really doesn't matter if you do 4 times 7 or 7 times 4. We've talked about that before. But again, base times height, you substitute 4 times 7, you get 28, and then you do 28 divided by 2, and your final answer is 14 feet squared. Yeah. That's kind of like the conclusion of our amazing video. If you have any questions, make sure you come talk to me, talk to your friends, and have a great day.